What is up, people of the internet? My name is Avery and I've been using this Dell XPS 15 9520 for the better part of the last year or so. Just for context, I'm an engineering student at the University of British Columbia, and I've been using this laptop as my main laptop for all my schoolwork, entertainment, and content creation in the last year. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my experience of using the XPS 15 9520 for 1 year now, and why you ultimately should not buy it. My configuration of the XPS 15 comes with an Intel Core i7-12700H CPU, an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3050 Ti GPU, 32 gigs of RAM, a 1TB SSD, and a full HD plus 1920 by 1200 matte display. The total cost at the time of my purchase was just shy of $3,000 Canadian, and since then, the XPS 15 lineup has been updated with new CPUs and new GPUs. In the last year, I've used my XPS 15 across a wide range of use cases, from basic tasks like browsing the web, watching videos, typing up documents, and managing my schoolwork, to slightly more demanding tasks like photo editing and working in MATLAB and SolidWorks, to my most demanding use case, which has been editing 4K YouTube videos. Generally speaking, the XPS 15 has been able to handle everything I've thrown at it, but with one major caveat. This thing gets hot as Even doing quite basic tasks like watching a YouTube video, the underside of the chassis and the palm rest on the keyboard deck get very noticeably warm to the touch, which doesn't really make for a pleasant experience to use on my lap. And even when I switch to the cool performance setting in the Dell Power Manager application, I still feel quite a lot of heat, which I do not like. This is probably because the fan is barely on during most tasks, but I think I would happily trade an extremely warm underside for slightly more fan noise. The only times I ever hear the fans kick in are during video editing and exporting, and they are quite audible during these times. However, I'm honestly fine with it because I really expect them to be on during those times. For my video editing in the last year, I've mainly been editing 1080p H.264 8-bit footage in DaVinci Resolve, and it's upscaled to 4K. And it has been decently snappy and responsive in the timeline. When exporting those videos, the XPS 15 has rendered them in almost real time, give or take a minute or so. But quite recently, I did pick up a new camera, the Sony a7 IV, which I am filming on right now and have filmed the last couple of videos on. And I've been filming in 4K 8-bit H.264 on this. When working with these files, the XPS 15 has been slightly less snappy when scrubbing around in the timeline with the 4K footage, but it can still play back the footage with minimal dropped frames. In terms of exporting these 4K videos, we're talking about 25 to 35% longer than in real time. For example, with my Physics 158 guide that is 16 minutes and 36 seconds long, that video took just shy of 22 minutes to export. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how my XPS 15 has performed for video editing, but I just wish I got the 4K screen instead now that I'm recording in 4K. Battery life on the XPS 15 has been subpar, to say the least. For context, I have the model with the Full HD Plus display and the 86 watt-hour battery, which is pretty much the most battery life that you can configure out of this laptop. Even with this, I don't feel confident enough to go a whole day of school without the charger. As with just light usage and at 50% screen brightness, I may only be able to get like 6 to 8 hours on one charge from this laptop. And this is just with light to slightly performance-heavy tasks like managing my schoolwork, browsing the web, watching videos, typing up documents, and the occasional code compile. I'm honestly just quite disappointed in the battery life in the XPS 15, as it probably has something to do with something related to the high-efficiency cores in these Intel CPUs not working as advertised, which is draining the battery life much more than it needs to. Because I really do not think a full HD screen and an 86 watt-hour battery should be draining this fast. Alright, and now on to the quirks, issues, and quality control problems that I've had with this XPS 15. And I emphasize the word this because I swear I got a lemon while some of my other friends got fully functional XPS 15s. And I apologize for this section of the video that there's not much video proof of these things happening in real time, because most of the time the problem would just appear and then it would just disappear right afterwards. Or it would just be in the middle of me doing something and I would just want to fix the problem as soon as possible and I would forget to record anything. So apologies for that. We're going to start small and work our way up to the problem that made me send this back to Dell twice. These first problems are small problems that are curable by either restarting the laptop or that just occurred quite sporadically and didn't really affect the experience too much. Firstly, sometimes the laptop would just randomly not be able to play a YouTube video without dropping frames in Microsoft Edge or Google Chrome. My internet connection was perfectly fine and there was nothing else running in the background, so I'm honestly not sure if it was a network issue, a browser issue, or a hardware issue. Secondly, sometimes the speakers would sound like they blew out or would play just really distorted audio, or they just wouldn't even play sound sometimes. This would happen if I was playing a YouTube video, switched to another task, or closed the laptop, and then went back to that video after a long time. Again, not really sure what the issue is there. Third, I would often notice the Bluetooth connection drop between the XPS 15 and my Logitech MX Master 3 mouse all of a sudden, or the custom program buttons would just stop working, and I'd have to turn the mouse off and on to get it up and running. Again, not sure if that's a computer problem or if it's my mouse. Fourth, whenever I unplug the XPS 15 from the charger and put it in my backpack to commute to campus, it would sometimes shut down completely by the time that I arrived to campus, which is about an hour, and I would have to wait for it to boot up again when I used it, which was slightly annoying every time it happened. And lastly, this was a problem that was fixed quite a while ago, but the display would often switch to a brighter and more saturated color space whenever I opened up the laptop, even though I set the display profile to be in a more neutral sRGB color space. This was quite annoying, especially I was working with things that required accurate colors, and I still really don't know what the root of the problem was. Now we're going to move on to some more annoying problems, to say the least, and some of these problems still persist to this day, but I just have to live with them at this point. For one, I really hate that this laptop and other high-powered Dell laptops will only charge at its maximum wattage with Dell chargers only, and it needs a ton of power to charge. The XPS 15 needs a whopping 130 watts to charge at max wattage, which means that I need to carry around a massive charging brick around because of its subpar battery life. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is that even if you do have a charger that can output 130 watts or more, which, first of all, these chargers are really expensive and there aren't that many of them, Dell's laptops have an internal function that caps the maximum power that third-party chargers can provide to 90 watts, which will bring up a message saying that the charger may not be able to provide enough power for the XPS 15. Well, no Dell, of course it won't be able to provide enough power because you literally programmed it to bottleneck the power that it can provide. I really feel like this is quite an anti-consumer decision because I would love to bring a smaller charger with me to school where I'm only doing light tasks and don't need 130 goddamn watts to power this thing. Secondly, this laptop just straight up refused to connect with my old pair of Bose QC45 headphones. A little bit of story time here. I had a pair of Bose QC45s right before I bought this laptop, and then I tried connecting them with the XPS 15 when I got it, and it just wouldn't connect. Over the course of the next 5 months, I proceeded to try every solution under the sun, restarting both devices, trying to connect them again, checking Bluetooth settings over and over again, even going into the sound menus inside of Windows, and trying to pair them with other devices. And I literally could not determine what the problem was. I could pair my Bose QC45s with pretty much any other device except my XPS 15. And I could pair my XPS 15 with pretty much any other pair of headphones or earbuds out there except my Bose QC45s. It got so annoying to the point that when my brother got a new pair of Bose QC45s, I paid him a small fee to swap our headphones so that it would actually work with my laptop, and thank God it did. To this day, I still have no idea what the problem was, but I somehow won the lottery by getting the 2 models of each product of millions that happen to not be able to connect to each other. Lucky me, I guess. But the biggest issue that I had with my XPS 15, which had me send it back to Dell twice to get it fixed, was an issue that to this day I still have no idea what was going on, and it's quite hard to even describe, but I'll do my best. So the first instance of this problem occurred in January of 2023 when I was working on a math assignment with my group members on campus on my laptop, when all of a sudden my laptop just stopped working and booted into a menu that looked like this. Not knowing what was going on, I tried to follow the instructions to try to connect to a Wi-Fi network, but after attempting to connect for over 30 seconds, even though I typed in the correct password, it would then say that it could not connect to the internet, and then this screen would pull up. Man, that sound still haunts me to this day. According to this message, my hard drive was not installed on my laptop, which was complete bullshit because my laptop was just working fine a few minutes ago. When this problem was first appearing, my solution to get back into Windows was to repeatedly turn off and on the laptop and pray to the gods that it would boot back into Windows. Sometimes it would take a few tries, other times I'd have to wait overnight for it to be able to boot back into Windows. And yes, this problem did occur multiple times. During group study sessions, doing homework at home, and worst of all, once in the middle of my lecture, this problem occurred at least a half dozen times, and it would just happen without notice. It eventually escalated to the point that blue screens would start popping up with this message, and even after entering my BitLocker key, it would still not fix it. It all culminated to the point where I just could not boot into Windows anymore, as it would just be an endless cycle of blue screens and computer restarts. And mind you, this was in the middle of my second semester of first year, when I had 7 courses going on at the same time. Once my XPS 15 hit a state that was basically unusable at that point, I finally contacted Dell to arrange for the laptop to be sent in to be looked at because I was still within the 1-year warranty. It took them about a week for them to inspect it and then to send it back to me, and when they did, everything seemed perfectly fine again. For just a few days. Not even 1 week, not even a week after I got back my XPS 15, after Dell supposedly fixed it, the same problem surfaced again. An HTTP boot menu saying that my hard drive was not installed. Alright, so it's currently 7:54 on June 2nd, and yeah, this thing happened again. Oh my goodness, so annoying. I highly doubt this will connect. So annoying. And it's probably gonna start beeping soon. Man, it was working fine for like 2 months, and then it just decided to quit again. Yep, unable to find IP address. And it's gonna start beeping. Oh. Yep, and same thing again. And I thought this was over. Probably gonna do the exact same thing again. Oh. It booted back into Windows? Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. That was a very close call. Man, you wouldn't believe how angry I was, and this led me to think that Dell didn't do jack shit when they received my laptop, as it was probably working completely fine when they received it and they didn't see any of the problems that I was experiencing. Because of this, I had to send it back to them again to get it looked at, and thankfully they actually did do something. By something, I mean that they actually replaced the SSD on my XPS 15, which was most likely the thing that was causing all of the problems in the first place. Since then, my XPS 15 has been working completely fine, but I'm still worried about something else happening in the future, especially since the 1-year warranty has expired and renewing the warranty is quite expensive. Actually, wait, using the words completely fine was not the right choice. Mostly fine are better words to describe this laptop because of a message that pulled up a few weeks ago when I performed a diagnostics check on the Dell Support Assist app. And it read that my hard drive was nearing the end of its life. Huh? Wasn't my SSD just replaced not too long ago? I kept on doing these diagnostics for the next few days, and the message only popped up once more the day after the first sighting. But I haven't really noticed anything wrong with my laptop so far, crossing my fingers on that. And all the diagnostics have returned positive results so far, crossing my fingers on that as well. And right now, it's not something I'm going to worry about, but just the thought of that message in the back of my mind really does bother me though. I'm of the notion that technology should just work, and I would rather trade fancy, flashy features for a more stable and reliable laptop. Because, just picture this for a second. What if I was using this XPS 15 in the middle of one of my final exams that are worth like 30, 40, maybe even half my grade or more, and this popped up on screen? Or what if I was actually relying on this laptop to make a living? It's a scary thought to have to worry about day in and day out. Will my laptop even work today? Thank goodness my dad was generous enough to let me borrow his LG Gram when my XPS 15 was basically unusable. Or else getting through first year engineering would have been much more painful than it already was. Oh man, now that all of that is off my chest, here's just a small rapid fire spree of my thoughts on all the other aspects of the Dell XPS 15. The display is good enough, but if I knew I was going to be so attached to the charger at all times, I think I would have chosen the 4K screen instead, as I'm starting to notice the lack of sharpness on the Full HD Plus screen. It's still a nice screen though. In particular, the matte screen is really nice for working in bright study areas on campus, and the 16:10 aspect ratio is just so much more convenient to work in with documents and video editing. The keyboard and trackpad are perfectly fine. I haven't really noticed any difference in how the keys feel after 1 year, and the trackpad is still quite precise. However, I still have the occasional issue with poor palm rejection, especially with how big the trackpad is. The speakers are still fine, but the carbon fiber palm rests have absorbed some oils that are noticeable now, especially under my left palm. I've tried wiping it down, but it just doesn't seem to come off anymore. Build quality is still top notch. I haven't noticed any signs of structural defects anywhere on the laptop, and the chamfered edges are mostly scratch free. Mostly, but that was my fault for banging it into the wall a few times. Windows Hello facial recognition is great, but the fingerprint sensor has become a lot less reliable in the last few months. It could be that, or that my fingers have just become really dry in the last few months because I've been teaching swim lessons every single day and probably my fingers are really dry. Port selection has also worked very well for me, especially that SD card reader, but I just wish it had one more USB-C port on the right-hand side. And I have only used this 720p webcam twice in the last year, and yeah, you can probably see why, because it's still a pretty webcam, and they really need to change this to at least a 1080p webcam in the next version. And that's it for my review of the Dell XPS 15 9520 after 1 year of use. Believe me, I really wanted to enjoy using this laptop and have it last my entire engineering degree. But as you've seen from my experiences with this laptop and with Dell, it just goes to show that Dell really needs to step up their quality control for the XPS 15 for it to be a viable option in the premium range of laptops these days. And for the $3,000+ that I spent on this XPS 15, I expect more, and I would probably not buy this again. Anyways, that has been it for this video. As always, gently tap the like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell to be notified whenever I release a new video. With that being said, I hope this video brought you value, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.